Well, hello everyone. Hope everybody's doing good. You know, for quite some time I've been looking for several pieces of equipment, and this past week I happened to get a text message from one of our viewers and friend down in Florida, and he told me about some equipment that was bought in an estate sale and was going to be sold off, and this happened to have been purchased by a shop down there. So I contacted them this week and was able to make a pretty good deal and got the piece of equipment in. So as you can see, it's a pretty big box. So let me go ahead and open this thing up and take a look at what we picked up. Okay, well, I got it nailed down to this big block of bubble wrap. So this thing is well packed. Excellent packing job. This is the way stuff should be done. So let me go ahead and get this bubble wrap off. That's going to take quite a bit because there's quite a bunch of it up here. Okay guys, finally got it out. And now that my bubble wrap supply has been replenished for the next 10 years, let's take a look at what I picked up. Yep, this is another Yaesu FT101B. Actually finally found one, and I went ahead and purchased it. Got a good price. Good shipping job. I will say it was bought untested, and we don't know nothing about it. I think they said they did plug it in. Final tubes did not light up. But there it is. So now I already know it's going to have some work done to it. Looking at it, one thing you see is jacked up in the back and low in the front. So the legs are on backwards, and that's probably because someone had it up on a shelf and probably had the back tilted up. And moving here closer, we can see there's been some kind of modification done. There's a broken toggle switch and 2 wires going underneath, so we'll have to check out, see what that's about. The meter switch is broke off and gone. Quite a few places here. Now to wear off the power and let's say phones here, this thing has been cut off and on many times, and you can see the lettering completely gone off of this switch. Just about most of it off, the noise blanket off on. So yeah, it's been used, we will say that. So I just want to open it up, give a look inside, and see what it's all about. We're looking at the back of it. It looks all original, and we now see why the tubes would not light up. It's missing the accessory plug. You gotta have that plug in there for the final tubes to light up. It's like the Kenwood has the SG switch on the back of them. The Yaesus have to have that plug in the back for it to light up. Just have the DC to DC converter. So let's go ahead and pop the top on it. Okay, well, all the boards are present, as you can see. We even have a crystal up here, and that's normally right in there. Power supply board looks good. Looks like all the boards are there, so that's not bad at all. But I don't want to power it up yet. I want to look at a few things and just verify some things before we even put power on it. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on the side. And we'll go ahead and remove all the screws from the bottom of it. Okay, all the screws have been removed from the bottom cover. And it looks like everything there is intact. There's those wires going off here under this plate that holds the speaker. Again, no idea what that is for. Maybe you got to go to the meter system. I'm not sure. What I want to do is go ahead and take the outer case off also. I'd like to see just what all is in there. Have a look at the crystals. Give a look underneath of this plate to see if there's any burnout resistors or whatnot. I have always wanted to get my hands on a 101B, and got one. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of work, but that shouldn't be no problem. Someone in the comment section asked the other day, was I ever going to finish the 101 series that we started on? And I basically told them the answer to that is probably no. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to do anymore. It's just that there's so much can be covered on the FT101 that I most likely won't never be able to cover it in my lifetime. So we still got a long ways to go on this series of radios. Let's see if we can get this cover off. Still do not see what this is going to. Doesn't look like it's going up to the meter. Hard to tell. I'm going to pull this plate off the bottom. Now, as I said, there was several radios in this family that I was looking for. One of them was the FT101B. The other one is the FT101 plain. It has no leather behind it. It was the first one produced. And I still like to find that and an FR101 receiver. Okay. Our insurance not blown up. grid resistors. Okay, and I'm seeing some extra wiring down here that I don't know what it's for yet. We'll have to figure that out and see. But there's a resistor down here. And there's a resistor here. It's got a wire connected to it with some heat shrink, and it goes on and off and goes up there. It looks like almost to the bottom of the relay. So I'm not sure what's up with that. We'll have to look at that and find out. See, none of our big power resistors are burnt up. We'll find those burnt quite a few times. There's one under here. It looks like it's in good shape also. Well, we can definitely tell you that there's some mods going on. We don't know what they are yet, so we'll have to figure that out and see. Okay, well, I'm looking here. We see our single sideband filter, and there's an international radio filter. It's a 3180 kilohertz to 6000 hertz. It's been added for the CW filter. So looking at this, we'll see this is number 2011, and this was sold by NRAD. And if no one knows what this is, we say it's 3180 kilohertz, 6000 hertz bandwidth. That is for AM. So it already has the AM filter installed. Now, maybe some of this wiring we see has something to do with switching the AM filter in and out. Like I say, normally it's just done on the band switch, but like I said, we're not sure what all has been done to this one. And by the way, for what I give for this radio, that filter right there cost a little bit less than what I gave for it. You can look it up on the NRAD and you can see the price of it. And I gave just a little bit more for the whole radio with that filter in it. So even if this radio was a dud and could not be fixed, there's plenty of parts in this thing that could, you know, I could get my money back out of it with no problem, especially with that filter being in there. But again, I'm not one to strip radios down, so we won't be doing that. There's one other thing else I want to go to and have a look at the crystals that are installed in this and see just what we have in here. And it looks like we got a full house on crystals, but I'm not sure what crystals are in it, so we'll have to pull them all out and look at them. Alright, we're going to pull the crystals out one at a time, take a look at them. The first one back here on the back is your 80 mm crystal, and it should be a 9.520. And it's 9.520. Now sometimes when CBers get these things, they'll pour the crystals out and put these CB crystals in it. So this is the 40 meter, should be 13.020, and it's 13.020. So the next one will be our 20 meter crystal. Should be 20.020, and that is correct. Next one is our 15 meter crystal. And it's actually going to be 27.020. And it's 27.020. So the standard crystal so far good. Now this is the 11 meter position crystal, and it should be 33.020, and it's a 33.020. And then this last one is 10A, and it should be 34.020. And it's got a 33.520 in it. So I'm going to write that down. Now, 10B starts at the back, and it should be 34.520. Well, it has a 34.020 in it, so that's out of place. That one's not supposed to be in that slot. It's supposed to be in the next slot. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to leave it out. And the next one is going to be 10C, and that should be the 34.020, and it's a 34.520. So that one was wrong. And this one will be 10D, and it's supposed to be 35.520, and this is a 35.020. So a little funky things going on with the crystal. Now this is WWB JJY, should be 16020, and it's a 16020. And this last one is the 160 meter band, should be 7.520, and it's 7.520. So if you remember, this one was supposed to be 34.020, and it's 33.520, and we had a 34.020. Okay, so that'll put 10A back right. Now we need a 34.520. And that'll put 10B back right. And now we need a 34.020. And we don't have the 34.020. Or do we? Now we got a 35.020. And the 35.020 goes in D position. Okay, so somebody has pulled one crystal out and replaced band A, and then they moved the other crystals around. So we have got to find a 34.020 to go back into band C. Yep, we need a 34.020 to go back into band C, and we'll have the correct crystals in this radio. So this crystal was for the CB frequencies, and it's a 33.520. So I'm gonna just stick it in that slot, and know that I need to go out and see if I got this crystal or find one and put back in it. So what does this tell us? This radio was used on 11 meters at one time. So anyway, that's not the end of the road. It's just got to get a crystal change, and probably gonna have to do some tuning to the radio. Okay guys, I got it powered on. I got the signal generator connected to it, and I'm on a 20 meter band. I got it set to 14.200, and you know, he said something about it hitting no receive in it, but it does seem to be receiving. I think there's some real noisy switches in here. I'm gonna put this thing on generate. Oh yeah, it's pegged the meter out. It's at minus 17 dBm. Let's go to AM mode. Receiver is down, but the receiver is working. I'm putting minus 47 dBm into it, and you see there's nothing on the meter, but it is receiving. Oh, wait a minute, wrong frequency. Okay, the receiver is working. I'm putting minus 47 dBm into it. I've got about an S30 on the meter. So if we crank this down a little bit, it's minus 67. I can still hear it, but the meter's dropped to 0. So it is working. Still don't know what this switch is. I will say it's got something to do with the receiver. I had a feeling that's what it was. Maybe it's changing something in the filtering system. Yep, so we are receiving. Say the receiver is way down, but it is receiving. Look at transmits. Turn the generator off. With a coax, put it on a watt meter. And let's see if we can get anything out of it. Let's see, we'll go to tune. We'll go to marks. Oh. Okay. We got output. Get you on the watt meter here. Okay, we'll go back to marks. We're on the 20 watt scale. Check the driver. Okay. That is output. And you know when you're on using the tune mode, it's reduced power. It doesn't bring it all the way up. I got the carry at about half. I put the carry at 3/4 and it should do more. Yeah. You see it go on over. So it is transmitting. Okay, checking out one single sideband mode with a microphone on it. And I notice when I key the microphone, I'm doing about 60 watts on single sideband with a dead key. And we know that's not right. You shouldn't do that. Take the mic off, I'll put it in tune. And I'm hearing some kind of hum in the radio. So there's something going on in the audio circuit or the balance modulator circuit that's causing it to have a carrier, even with the carrier cut all the way down. Just with a dead key, there's some wattage going out there. Again, there's mods have been done that we don't know exactly what they are. Well, I went ahead and pulled the tube cage off. This is a GE 12BY7. We'll pull the final tubes out and look at them. This has got a 15 and a 13 written on them. Also wanted to get a look at that RF choke. Just rock them out of there kind of easy. .6JX 6C. It's got USA on it, but looked like it was a Westinghouse tube. And we can see around this ghetto spot is getting kind of brown. I can definitely see a G right there. It looked like it was a long word that starts out here. So I say that one's probably going to be a Westinghouse. That tube will probably have to be replaced. But we won't get rid of it because it's a seems to be a good tube to test with. Walk the other one out and look at it. Looks like the same tube, but I see in green on it. But this one's got, looks like a LH on it, so that's definitely not Westinghouse. Greenish blue is normally Phillips, so I'm not sure who made this one, but you know, the ghettos look good on it. But this other one definitely is turned brown. That's usually a little bit of sign of some heat spinning those tubes. And I was thinking here, I remember this crystal that was plugged in up here. And guess what it is? 35.520. So that is the crystal that we're missing down here. So kudos to the technician that did that. So we can replace that one and put the original crystals back in it. Okay, I removed the speaker board and looking up here to see where these two wires are going from this switch. And as I expected, they're going to the low frequency unit, and they're connected to pins 9 and pin 12. Well, pin 9 is I can't hardly read it on this schematic. It goes to a mixer, and pin 12, it says mode. So exactly what they're doing, what it looks like here on the schematic. There's pin 9 and there's pin 12. So when you flip that switch, it takes these two resistors out. So I'm gonna have to look this up and see exactly. I looked around on the internet at some of the mods, and I could not find anything on this particular mod here, but it's definitely doing something with the frequency. So we're gonna have to check on that and find exactly what's going on. We'll probably just get rid of it because we don't need it to start with.
Between the two of us. Really made my garden explode, man. I've got some beautiful tomatoes and green beans and corn and squash and cucumbers. It's just overwhelming. And so we're looking forward to a bountiful harvest, I guess you'd say, Ted, go ahead. Oh man, I love that. I love gardening. I haven't done it this year. I've gotten lazy a bit. On Friday too, because we had to bump some up due to the rain we had, but we just got done, and he left to go up on top of the mountain up there to a cabin that they have, and he's gonna mow up there. I tried that early on in my life, and I've got the feeling that that's something that has to be bred into, because I enjoyed the driving and seeing the country, but I really miss home. And you know, if you're on the road, you know, at 6 o'clock, you know, and you're used to sitting down eating supper.
Well, guys, I went here and did a general cleaning on the band switch, mode switch, some of the other slide switches, volume control. And I noticed if I move this thing around, it loses receive, and if you wiggle it, it will come back to life. So that tells me there's probably some dirty boards in this radio. You hear it kind of cutting out then. We're not picking up nothing on 40 meters at the moment. So hear that as I flex the chassis. So there is definitely an intermittent connection somewhere, and it's probably in these boards. So we need to pull those out, do a little cleaning on those. So I think the first thing we do is pull out the RF board. Yeah, and we can see some corrosion on these pins here. I'll go ahead and give those a cleaning. With a few Q-tips here. We'll just spray the contacts with some deoxit. And what we're going to do is install the board and remove it several times. You'll be surprised at how much just doing that will clean the contacts. And then we'll take a Q-tip and run over them. Here you can see all that stuff comes right off. I don't suggest taking anything aggressive and cleaning these with, like sandpaper. If you got places that don't want to seem like it wants to clean off, you can use some used Scotch-Brite. That way it ain't as aggressive. And if you go into the dollar store, you can buy it in little packs that you use for cleaning your non-stick pots and pans. Get the yellow kind. They work the best for cleaning this kind of stuff. Alright, so we'll just put that one right back in. We'll do the modulator unit the same way. We'll just remove these two screws. Slip it right out. Yeah, and I can see some corrosion and some dirt on those contacts. I'll go ahead and spray these down. And while they're still wet and dripping, running in and out of the socket a few times. Then we'll take the Q-tip and clean those. And just pop the screws right back in. And you'll be surprised of how many times this will solve a lot of the issues that these radios have, just by pulling those boards out and cleaning them. Alright, we'll go ahead and pull the audio unit out the same way. Good thing is I'm not seeing any split caps on these. Go ahead and spray it down. Q-tip. Alrighty. And we'll go ahead and take out the low frequency unit and do the exact same thing. You can see that white corrosion on there. Alright, that one looks good. Doesn't take long to do. When you're checking out a radio like this, it's still always best to go ahead and pull the whole outer cover off. That way you can get a better look of everything, and it's a lot easier to get to this low frequency unit with the cover off. And while we're doing this, we might as well go ahead and pull out the rest of the other boards. This one works better when you got a screwdriver that's been magnetized. I forget there's one more screw in here. we'll leave this one out so we can go ahead and get to this one a lot easier. Yeah, you can see just how much contaminant is on that one. So I am still receiving hundreds of emails a week. It is unbelievable at the amount of emails I'm getting. So if I'm not responding back to you, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just that I cannot respond to every email that I get. And I get so many asking for me to do repair work. I'm going to go ahead and pull this regulator board out because I dropped that screw in there. And that was kind of hard to get to. But I get lots of emails, people are asking me to restore stuff for them. And I'm going to tell you this. There's a difference between restoring and repairing. When you go in, you get a radio like this and you just repair it, you know, you do what you can to get it working. When it comes to a restoration, you can see this one here is very dirty also. But when it comes to a restoration, you're talking about a lot of time and parts that is put in doing a restoration. So people doesn't really know the difference when they're asking you to repair something and when they're asking you to restore something. Now, if someone brought me this radio and say, hey, I want you to restore this, well, when you put that word restore in there, you could be talking about big repair bills or restoration bills. I mean, it could be $500-600, and is the equipment worth that amount of money to restore it, especially having to pay someone else to do it for you? And you know, I hate turning down work, I really do, but I just don't have the time to put in doing, you know, restorations for people. I've already took on a lot of stuff that is taking me like forever to get to. And I mean, it's like the little scope that I worked on. I had that thing 3 years, and you know, it's not fair to the owners to have to go up with that. So, you know, emailing me and asking me to restore something is it just ain't gonna happen. I don't have that time to spend in here in the shop. You know, I only get 8 to 10 hours a week, maybe. Sometimes even less than that. Depends on if I got stuff to do in the yard or in the house or whatnot, you know. So I just don't have time to get into that. And I know that'll probably upset a lot of people, but you know, I mean, I know there's not a lot of people left that's doing this kind of stuff. Now, if I was retired and not working a full-time job, yeah, I probably could do a little bit more. I want to go ahead and pull this back off, and I want to remove this, since we know it's only shorting out 2 pins on the low frequency board, and get this out of the way so I won't be dragging it around on the bench. And for the time being, what I'm going to do is just clip those 2 wires off, because I do want to do some more studying of this circuit and find out just what this modification is supposed to be doing. Like I say, I have not seen. I'm going to just leave 2 little nubs sticking out on the bottom, so when I get the time I can get right back in here and look at pins 9 and 12 and see exactly what they are doing. I mean, it might be a modification that's okay, you know. I don't know. Not until I study out that circuit. Like I said, I looked around on some of the Yaesu mods, and I did not see that one listed. Okay, so all those boards are now cleaned. We'll put some power back on the radio. Well, as we can see, the problem still exists, but we know it's not in a plug-in unit. So there's something else going on in here. I don't think that's the relay. It's possible, could be a relay, but I don't think so. I don't think the relay will flex that much, but I might have to pull them out and try it also. But we know that there is a bad connection somewhere in this rig, so we'll have to go through all that and see if we can find out what's causing that issue. Okay, so other than the intermittent problem, the only other big concern is the POIC ALC switch is and I've took the magnifying light and I've looked down in there, and the switch is just broken and the toggles come off. I can still see the terminal sticking up and some plastic moving around in there, but we gotta have this switch. This switch has to be in there. When you're tuning up this radio, you want to put this thing on IC and check the idle current. You just don't want to go running it that much, because we don't know where the idle current is sitting at. and without this switch we can't see it. So I'm going to have to either go on eBay and look around. I do have a junked Yaesu, I think it's the 221. It's a 2-meter all mode rig. It's in very bad shape, and I actually got it to fix another one that I have, and I know it's got some of these same 3-position switches in it, so I'll check that and see if I can get one of those out and see if it'll match up with this. If so, that will solve that problem, but if not, I'll have to go online and see if I can locate this meter switch. So anyway, with that said, guys, yeah, there's some problems. Yeah, I think it was used on 11 meters, but I don't see nothing here that cannot be straightened out and put back together. Now the next thing I need to do, like I say, I need to find the intermittent problem. I need to replace this switch, and then what I want to do is go through and do an alignment of this radio, and this will tell the story about just how far everything is out and what needs to be done to it. If we do an alignment and everything goes through fine, then we know we got minimum work to do. I know it's kind of backwards. You normally rebuild everything, then you do an alignment, but we're not sure where this radio is at. You know, just what kind of condition we got of the way everything is set. So we're going to have to do an alignment on it, probably in the next 1 or 2 videos. Like I say, I got to find this switch, get that intermittent problem fixed, and then we'll go into it and do an alignment and see just exactly where it's at. Alright guys, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Really happy to find a 101B to add to the collection, and we'll get this thing going. Alright guys, see you in the next one. Bye now.